Striding to the plate. He is 0 for 3. Reached on an error in the 6th.
There's a fly ball to right. And that is going to be way gone. Churio sends one out of here to make it 3-0. Jackson Churio with serious opposite field pop. Number 20 for the 20-year-old.
Youngest player in MLB history to record 20-plus homers, 20-plus stolen bases. Incredible. What a year. And an absolute bomb to right field. Taylor Cruz is going to run on.
There he goes. The pitch is down. The throw down is off wide. Ellie De La Cruz takes third base. And that is a monumental steal. That's his 60th swipe of the season. He is the 5th man in the modern era to have 20 homers and 60 steals. It's Joe Morgan, Ricky Henderson, Eric Davis, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Ellie De La Cruz.
And he drives this one to the gap in left center away from Pilar, who lies and makes the catch. An incredible Superman play from Kevin Pilar.
You talk about a human highlight reel. What a play by Pilar. Full extension on the dive. This is going away from a left-handed bat. And Lindor, full extension on the dive on the warning track. Superman, Kevin Pilar. Well, he doesn't have any friends down the New York side anymore after a play like that.
Oh, what a catch! Pilar dives and lands on the warning track right under the wall in left center field. He took off like a jet plane. Off the ground, into the air, onto the warning track with the ball. What a start to tonight's game. 1 out in the first. Boy, shades of Jim Edmonds out there in center field for the Angels.
Machado drives it to center. Fairchild at the wall. He made it. He took away a homer. Oh, a sensational grab. Stuart Fairchild gives up the body as he slams into the wall and robs Machado. Going to have to get that highlight reel updated.
They can't believe it in the Padre dugout.
He became the Jumpman logo.
Stuart Fairchild just took a 3-run home run away from Manny Machado. And he has stunned this crowd.
All right, now chance of your Jackson Holiday. He's gone 0 for 2 in his first game back with the Orioles.
Holiday drills it. Right field. Down the line. Grand slam. The happiest of holidays.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson is here.
The first Major League homer for Jackson Holiday. It's a grand slam. And the Orioles, as soon as it's a 1-run game, surge forward.
The 1-2. That's in the air left field. That's trouble. Jankowski back. And a magic catch. Oh my goodness, what a grab. He brings the game back. You just saw Major League theory right there. Unbelievable. An incredible catch by Travis Jankowski, who just came into the game for defense.
Twins are down to their last strike. 8 pitches thrown, 8 strikes by Kopech.
Looking for the punch out. 0-2 from Kopech. Yes, he did. It's an immaculate inning for Michael Kopech. And the Sox take game 1 of the doubleheader. Southside, stand up.
For Michael Kopech, 9 pitches, all strikes. He strikes out the side, and they beat the Twins for the first time. What a beautiful thing to see at the end of today's performance for the White Sox.
That's it pretty well center field. Going back on it is Pilar leaping up. Did he make that catch? And I don't think he did. Oh, KP got it! KP got it! That's an all-timer, Superman. He played it well, too. He might get an Academy Award for that one, Patty O.
This might go down as the play of the year right here by Kevin Pilar. This ball, Kevin Pilar goes back full speed, times everything absolutely perfect, jumps up and reaches his whole, almost half his body up over the wall.
3-2 again. And a high shot back into deep center field. Siri still going back. He's going to climb the wall. And he got it. Oh, my. What a catch pitch in center field by Siri. Jose Siri has the baseball with a massive exhale, holding everyone in the ballpark in disbelief. The reaction is absolute stunning nature by the Birds. Siri climbed the wall and at the apex ripped it out of the sky on the drive by Henderson, denying the Orioles the runs, denying the Orioles a lead.
I hated facing the most. My number one has never changed. Todd Helton. He was also the last hitter I faced in my career. Game 2 of the 2007 World Series. The next guy, Derek Lee, didn't have an answer. I didn't know what to throw him. I didn't know how to get him out. 11 for 26, 6 extra base hits, 5 homers. Frank Catalinato, he was the guy who just squared the ball up off me routinely. Mark Lemke, 15 for 31, and I think he hit 2 of his 4 career home runs off me. If you know Mark was the size of Frodo Baggins. The common thread between Catalinato and Lemke, they were little guys. I had trouble with little guys because they were all good fastball hitters. And then the last guy, Dave Justice, was 10 for 28 off me with 6 extra base hits. He had 4 home runs, which forced the Yankees in 2001 to put him in the lineup when I had made adjustments and could now dominate him. I tricked them into playing him because I punched him out, I think, all 4 times they saw him in the world.
There are 2 kinds of people in this world. Those who love Old Bay and those who've never tried it. Because once you taste this Chesapeake Bay seasoning, you'll immediately be turned into a canvert. Old Bay goes great on seafood, chicken, corn on the cob, french fries, pretty much anything. Join the Legion of Canverts in America. Pick up a can today. And before you know it, this could be you. Old Bay, the can that connects us.
The most valuable player in this year's National League Championship Series, although he did not post a win against the Atlanta Braves. He pitched well in his 2 starts. Hernandez strikes out. Guzman seemed to be the least comfortable as a hitter. His bunt fielded by Curt. That's 1. That's 2. Coming up against Schilling in the 4th. 2-0 Phillies. White strikes out in the bad pitch. Alomar runs on a 3-2 pitch. It's strike 3 and a double play. Kind of pitch when I'm out there throwing. The swing seemed to be an afterthought. Foul tipped into the mitt. Strike 3. Another 2-2. Off the glove of Schilling. He'll try the plate. Cagnate in the rundown. Dalton. Now Hollins applies the tag. Cagnate is out. The 0-2. He struck him out. On the ground to second. Duncan throws him out. Complete game shutout by a Phillies pitcher in postseason play. Line to center. Dykstra is there, and the Phillies win. A brilliant 5-hit shutout for Curt Schilling. The next 2-2. Davis to left and will hit. Oh my! It's gone! Santa Maria!
From high atop the Robinson Gearing Studio Complex and straight out of God's country, Pawleys Island, South Carolina, the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network proudly presents Backwards K Pod. And now, here's the host of the show, Jake Robinson.
I never move in slow-mo. Welcome to my dojo. There's other parts of so I'm chill like bro, yo. Focus like a GoPro. Ripping up this promo. Check out the scoreboard. Bring some no. Going is going. Yo, it's gone. Your heart just stop. Your Jake got strong and mighty. Undefeated, I mean it. Pull up the box, scroll it down, then read it. Written, produced, directed, and mixed. Tongue on your lips and Austin Smith backflips. Pick a chip, any chip, get on to it. I got ridiculous pods without balls and me. You sit at home crying like a girl while I spread the gospel around the world. Yo, the pods are written behind tracks that makes it smooth, but the groove to me is what it lives and add a little cut and a rhythm to back it up. Another show to my name, now once we stack them up. You think another like rap bag, but this ain't no ad check. My hobbies are rhymes, some people trying to be black, but that about time I come out, call the show. BKP, now let me turn it out. Yo, name check the state, born in 71. Date, you know what time it is, a package of guns. Yo, experience, I've been a witness to glory, and that's why I collect ball players and the stories. You heard? So, once again, back is the incredible, the pond animal, Jake the Snake Robinson from the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network. I'm coming out of Polarized Island, South Carolina. Half man, half podcast machine. Back in the Captain Curt Schilling, shields down, photons up. Prepare to engage on this week's digital audio program that I call Backwards K-Pod, where we collect ball players and their stories. What's up, freaks? What's cracking? Welcome back into the dojo, week 5 of the all-season, chapter 156 of the historical, biographical, and anthological studies of the players, characters, moments, stadiums, and the pop culture references that have been woven and stitched into the DNA fabric of this beautiful tapestry of life we call baseball. I'm Jake Robinson. I got your hookup. Holler if you hear me. Backwards K-Pod is available on all platforms, wherever you listen to your pods, and I would never judge you good brothers and sisters for the baseball content offered up here at BKP. No Patreon, no Twitch, no bonus pay-to-play subscriptions, no strings attached. I promise to always give you all I got, and there will never be a charge. So, thank you for the continued success and growth of my grassroots endeavor. Please pound the subscribe or follow link. Share with all your C-Man buddies. And if the platform you use to listen to BKP offers you the chance to rate and review my performance, please do so as you see fit. I ain't scared. Like my boy Anakin used to always tell me, if you're scared, Pookie, go get a fucking dog. I do what I do when I do it, and nobody does it quite like the Heartbreak Kid. All these asks that I give to you, they strengthen the show's presence on the Google search engines, and it keeps the show viable internationally. I'm joined this week in the Fortress of Poditude, as usual, with my cohort in crime, the chocolate tabby of tenaciousness, the fetusly felonious feline, my boy Charlie Guns, little gunner posting up in the conductor's booth of our BKP locomotive, patiently bathing himself, chewing up some catnip gummies, awaiting my orders to take us on this week's baseball adventure. Before we bend baseball space and time to cover this week's topic, the off-season MLB hot stove is beginning to warm up, baby, and a couple of hot pies came out of that oven this past week. Now, arguably, the biggest pitching chip on the free agent market was scooped up by the defending world champion Los Angeles Dodgers when they lured southpaw Blake Snell from their rival San Francisco Giants and inking him to a 5-year, $182 million deal with $52 million coming up front and another $66 million deferred to 2046, marking the fourth 9-figure signings the champs have consummated in the past 12 months. The first of 2 chips the Dodgers won in the 2020s came in the 2020 World Series against Snell and his then Tampa Rays. That's the series where Snell was pulled in Game 6 after giving up his first hit with 1 out in the 6th inning of Game 6. And that will propel his leaving that game would propel a Dodgers comeback, and they would eventually win that series. He would spend the next 3 seasons pitching for the Padres, won his second Cy Young Award in 2023 with 14.9 and 2.25 ERA. Last offseason, after securing the Cy Young, he hit the free agent market and expected a massive contract, but the offers, they just never materialized. It wasn't until the middle of March, with spring training in full swing, that Snell signed a contract with the Giants that guaranteed him $62 million over the next 2 seasons, with the ability to opt out of the deal following the 2024 season. So that's what he did. The Southpaw had a slow start to the season in 2024. It saw his ERA balloon to 9.51 through June, but from the end of July to the end of September, Snell goes white hot. He throws a complete game no-hitter, completed at least 6 innings in 10 of his last 14 starts, and he posts a 1.23 ERA with 114 strikeouts and 30 walks in those 83rd innings pitched from July to September. Now, the Dodgers, they now owe 7 players on the roster more than $1 billion with a B, deferred payments between 2028 and 2046. The Southpaw, who turns 32 in December, secured the 3rd largest contract by a left-handed pitcher, largely because of the overall stuff and command. It remains elite enough that the Dodgers believe their rich pitching infrastructure can take him to an even higher level. And Snell has made 7 starts at the Dodger Stadium, and he sports a career 2.03 ERA at the Ravine. So the rich get richer as usual in baseball, as the Dodgers on paper. They got Ohtani coming back from TJ surgery, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Snell, and, a number 5 option in Tony Gonsolin, Dustin May, Bobby Miller, and at some point in the season, you gotta think that Clayton Kershaw is gonna show up, and that's just gonna add to their plethora of starting pitchers. Right-handed pitcher Luis Severino and the Oakland A's of Sacramento are in agreement on a 3-year, $67 million deal with an opt-out clause baked in after year 2, rewarding him with the largest guaranteed contract in club history, which was previously owned by the 11-year, $66 million extension given to third baseman Eric Chavez back in 2004, and their previous free agent signing was Billy Butler back in November of 2014, and that was a 3-year, $30 million deal. The Severino A's deal, it exceeded industry expectations, particularly since he was saddled with the qualifying offer that was in his last contract. And, those 2 O's, they tend to dampen the player's value on the open market. Sevy had a fine bounce-back season in 2024 with the New York Mets that saw him put in 182 innings of work with 3.91 ERA. The starter had back-to-back All-Star Game appearances in 2017 and 2018 before missing out on most of the 2019 season with a lat strain, and all of 2020 and most of 2021 after TJ surgery. He struggled in 2023, and last year he signed a 1-year, $13 million deal with the New York Mets. The A's are looking to push their salary payroll into the $100 million range and are casting a pretty wide net among free agent pitchers to lead a team that improved on their 2023 record at 50-112 to go 69-93 last year. In signing Sevy, the A's will give up the 3rd highest pick in the 2025 draft, and because the Mets exceeded the competitive balance threshold last year, they're going to receive a compensation pick after the 4th round of the draft, and that's worth a little more than $500,000 in draft bonus pool money. The $67 million agreement between Severino and the A's, well, that's in line with the Angels signing life-ending pitcher Yusei Kikuchi to a 3-year, $63.675 million deal. And that deal stipulates that Kikuchi will earn $21 million a year between 2025 and 2027, but it also has some perks that are baked into this deal. The pitcher's trainer is to make $100,000 annually from the Halos, and his translator to get $7,000 a year for his work. And additionally, Kikuchi will be provided with 5-round business class flight trips to and from his native Japan. The deal marks the largest contract for a free agent starting pitcher since C.J. Wilson signed a 5-year, $77.5 million deal with the Halos back in 2011, and it stands as the biggest deal current Angels GM Perry Minasian has handled out in his 4-year tenure with the club. In his 6 years of Major League service, Kikuchi is 41-47 with a 4.57 ERA, and that's with the Mariners, Blue Jays, and Astros. He was an All-Star in 2021 while playing for the Mariners, and in 32 starts between Toronto and Houston last year, he posted a 9-10 record with a 4.06 ERA at 32 starts. He struggled for Toronto last year before the Stros traded 3 prospects for the Southpaw services in July, and he finds his magic dust and excels deep in the heart of Texas with a 5-1 record in 10 starts for Houston, striking out 76 batters and walking only 14 in over 60 innings pitched. His arm was rejuvenated as the season wore on, and his four-seamer was averaging 95.5 miles per hour or 153.69 kilometers an hour, which is the hardest he's ever thrown. And the Angels, who are desperate for starting pitchers, are hopeful that he recaptures the brilliance he found in Houston as opposed to the turd that he's dropped in Toronto at the start of the year. And it looks like from the get-go this offseason, it's a buyer's market for pitchers as Frankie Montas fills the Severino void in the Mets roster, signing the right-hander to a 2-year, $34 million deal. And the Cubbies jump in the fray. They landed a fish, another southpaw for the rotation, inking Matthew Boyd to a 2-year, $29 million pact. And the San Francisco Giants, they finally scored an offseason big fish after failing to sign hometown kid Aaron Judge and shortstop Carlos Correa in the last few years. They inked Willie Adames to a 7-year, $182 million deal, the largest contract in club history. And as I go to air, some baseball news just crossed my desk. Juan Soto, the Mets agreed on a mammoth 15-year, $755 million contract. Max Fried signs with the Yankees. Dave Parker and slugger Dick Allen are voted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, by way of the Classic Baseball Era Committee. And I'm sure I have more to say about that next week. So, a whole lot going on in the baseball offseason thus far. It's moving pretty quickly, which is, it's pretty good as the pace the last few years has, it's been really slow in the offseason. Still a lot of talent left on the market. Corbin Burns, Anthony Santander, who's going to earn the draft rights to Japanese star Roki Sasaki. And, we're still very early in the process. And BKP will be here in the offseason doling out the info as there's no offseason in the BKP universe. So keep it locked here as together we're going to make it through this stringy hiatus, and before you know it, the weather will warm up, and next thing you know, it's opening day, and we're going to do the dance all over again. And with the BKP Hot Stove Report, in the books with a big, beautiful backwards K next to it in the scorecard. I like to get all you stragglers hanging out on the Terrapin Station platform to kiss and hug your little loved ones goodbye, and we can get this train rolling for this week's show. As I look to the west of Terrapin, I can see all the way down the left field foul line to home plate in our beautifully manicured jewel box crib where the BKP-9 have stormed out of the dugout to give the home crowd the best efforts tonight. Our starting pitcher has completed his warm-up pitches. The catcher has gone down to second. The infield's now whipping that ball around the diamond with purpose and swagger. And Blue has cleaned up the dish and called play ball. And that's my cue to load up our BKP time travel choo-choo as I sound off our final to boarding call. All aboard! As I will have Gunner set our time and destination this week for September 7th, 1988, Baltimore, Maryland, Memorial Stadium, the old home of the Baltimore Orioles, where a 21-year-old Curt Schilling begins his major league journey when he makes his big league debut. As this week, our profile focus would be on one of the true clutch pitchers of baseball history, Mr. Curt Schilling. So, hurry, step right up, get in where you fit in, make yourself comfortable in this high-tech modern marvel of engineering. Take off your shoes, kick up your feet, open your kimonos, ladies, rip off those bras, stash them in your purse, make yourself at home, let the girls breathe, let them hang. We don't judge, we're family. As Gunner goes supersonic, building up the necessary speeds needed to crack 6.0 gigahertz of RF on our spectrum analyzer, bending baseball space and time, folding dimensions in half, and creating vast anomalic wormholes to get us back to 1988, Charm City, bitch, Baltimore, Maryland. And Curt Schilling was he was a brash, unspoken hurler who paid the price in his post-career life due to his unapologetic political leanings and larger-than-life verbosity when communicating those leanings to the public. Curt is a byproduct of his father, Curt Schilling, who served 22 years in the United States Army as a Master Sergeant with the 101st Airborne Division. He was stationed at Elmendorf Air Force Base just outside of Anchorage, Alaska, when Curtis Montague Schilling is born on November 14, 1966. And Master Sergeant Schilling, he introduces the game of baseball to Curt within days of his birth. When the newborn was brought home from the hospital, Master Sergeant Schilling had his baseball glove placed in the little boy's crib. And Curt is a military brat, which it might give you a little insight into his conservative characteristics and leanings. And the family was always on the move when he was growing up. The family starts out in Alaska, but they would also call Kentucky, Illinois, Missouri home before the family unit drops anchor in Phoenix, Arizona. Master Sergeant Schilling was a huge Pittsburgh Pirates fan, and Curt's first Major League Baseball game was Roberto Clemente's last. Blessed with a God-given power arm, Curt would go on to strike out 3,116 batters in his vaunted career, one of only 16 pitchers in the history of the game to amass over 3,000 strikeouts, and one of only 2 pitchers besides Roger Clemens with 3,000 strikeouts who has it in the Hall of Fame. With a postseason win-loss record of 11-2, his .846 postseason winning percentage is numero uno for pitchers with at least 10 postseason starts. He has won World Series games with 3 different teams, the only pitcher to ever do that: the Phillies, the Snakes, and the Red Sox. Along with big unit Randy Johnson, he is a World Series co-MVP in 2001. While pitching for the 2004 Red Sox, he won games in each of the 3 postseason rounds that he pitched in, and in 2007, he repeated that same exact feat. His most courageous and memorable performance is the bloody sock game in 2004, the ALCS versus the New York Yankees. A performance he would repeat against the St. Louis Cardinals in the next round World Series a mere 5 days later. And before that World Series appearance, the surgeon who has sutured his tendons back into place for a second time in less than a week warns the right-handed ace that this procedure cannot be replicated a third time. But the big game hunter, he started 5 games in his big league career where his team goes to him in an elimination game situation, and in this contest, his teams would win all 5 of those games, and his ERA in those games is a sterling 1.37. There were 3 games in his career where he is given the ball in a clinch situation, and his team wins all 3 of those games, and he sports a 1.16 ERA. In 133 and a third postseason innings pitched, 525 batters faced, Schilling has 120 strikeouts to his credit to only 25 walks. And even more glaring is his regular season walk to strikeout ratio, 3,116 strikeouts to 711 walks. He's averaging 4.38 strikeouts to walks. The very best ratio in the history of the game for players with at least 1,000 strikeouts. He threw 64 games in his career, in which he struck out at least 7 batters with no baseball balls, the most by any pitcher in baseball history. From May 13, 2002 to June 8th of that season, he doesn't surrender a walk. A stretch of pitching that saw Schill amass 56 strikeouts to 0 walks, the greatest stretch of strikeouts to walks ever. Greg Maddux is second, by the way, with 3-0 in 2001, and Pedro Martinez is 3 with 49-0 in 2000. And 3 times in his legendary career, 1997, 98, and 2002, Curt had 300 strikeouts for the season. He's a 6-time All-Star, been a second in the Cy Young voting in 2001, 2002, and 2004. And on a weird note, he was involved in 3, if not 4, of the most lopsided trades in baseball history. By the time Curt enrolls at Shadow Mountain High School in Phoenix, he's a baseball player with seam dreams, but he doesn't make the varsity roster until his senior year. And during his year on the varsity baseball team, there have been a few talks with scouts, but Curt suffers a broken left elbow when he's hit by a pitch in the batter's box, putting the kibosh on the conversations and interest in the young right-handed pitcher. So, Schill enrolls at Yavapai Junior College in Prescott, Arizona, a school that has produced numerous major leaguers. In 1986, he leads Yavapai to the Junior College World Series for the 5th time in the school's history. Soon thereafter, the Boston Red Sox call his name in the second round of the 1986 MLB Amateur Draft, and he signs with the Sox on May 30th, 1987. After signing on the dotted line, the Red Sox shipped Schilling to the Elmira Pioneers of the New York Penn League, where he posted a 7-3 record in 93 innings. He strikes out 75 batters. He walks 30. And this is before being promoted to the South Atlantic League Greensboro Hornets, where he maintains his impressive strikeout to walk ratio, punching out 199 hitters while only walking 65. And the Hornets, they struggle in the standings, finishing with a record of 55-85, and Curt's win-loss record is a reflection of that, as he finishes with the 8-15 record and 3.82 ERA. Schilling begins the 1988 season at Double-A for the Red Sox farm affiliate, the New Britain Red Sox, where he goes 8-5 with a 2.97 ERA before he's traded in his first lopsided trade of his career, as the right-hander is dealt along with the Red Sox outfielder prospect Brady Anderson to the Baltimore Orioles in exchange for pitcher Mike Boddicker, as the Major League Red Sox are looking to shore up their pitching staff for a pennant run. The Orioles assigned Curt to the farm in Charlotte, where he goes 5-2 with a 3.18 ERA before the Orioles call him up to the show in September. And here we are, freaks, as Gunnar has us screaming out of that last reversible wormhole straight into Baltimore, Maryland, September 7th, 1988, where the talented youngster is set to take the bump at Memorial Stadium for a contest between the Orioles and the team that originally drafted him, the Boston Red Sox. At this time in his journey, Curt is feeling a little lost and overwhelmed. His father had died only 8 months earlier in January of brain cancer at the young age of 52. And in retrospect, Curt acknowledges that his father was the glue that held it all together in the family unit, as he recollects how he was estranged from his mother and older sister. And Steve Palermo was the home plate umpire for the right-handers' debut, and he always remembered the fear emanating from every pore of the hurler's body. Noting the youngster's nervousness, he tells Schilling, "If you get the first pitch close, I'll call it a strike, and we'll get this game rolling." And Curt performs rather well in his debut, but at some point in the game, he totally forgets the signs that catcher Mickey Tettleton is throwing down, and he begins throwing unexpected pitches. He worked 7 innings in the debut, giving up 3 runs, won 6 hits, striking out 2, and walking 5. And in between the 6th inning, Palermo saunters out to the mound, and he says, "Hey, relax, kid. You're going to make it in this game. Just relax and throw strikes." Now, Schilling gets no decision for his effort that day, as the Orioles win the game 4-3 with a walk-off 9th inning run, but Schilling was gone by then. The rest of the month is painful, as Curt makes 3 more starts in September for the Orioles, catching an L in each of those games, and his ERAs have bloated 9.82. In 1989, with a 13-11 record and a 3.21 ERA with the Orioles AAA Rochester Red Wings, he again finds himself in a September call-up situation for the big club, and he goes 0-1 with a 6.23 ERA and 5 appearances. He begins the 1990 season, again stationed at Rochester, but he's brought up late in July to get his first extended taste of big league action. And he's working exclusively out of the bully in relief. He appears in 35 games, and he posts an impressive 2.54 ERA. He does get the first 2 wins of his Major League Baseball career, and he's also tagged for 2 losses. And the Orioles, in all their infinite wisdom, #sarcasm, they have no idea what they have in Curt Schilling, and they're under this delusion of thinking their farm system is loaded with pitching prospects. And for the second time in Curt's young career, he's involved in yet another lopsided deal when the Birds shipped Schill, right-handed pitcher Pete Harnisch, and a young outfield prospect Steve Finley to the Houston Astros for power-hitting first baseman Glenn Davis. The absolute worst trade in Orioles history, hands down. Schilling works 56 games of relief in 1991 for the Astros. He goes 3-5 with a 3.82 ERA, but like the Orioles, Houston has no clue about what they have in Curt Schilling. And just as the 1992 season is about to kick off, the Astros trade Schilling to the Philadelphia Phillies for Jason Grimsley, who never pitches an inning for Houston, completing the trifecta for awful, lopsided deals. The 1991 season would prove to be a pivotal moment in Curt Schilling's Major League Baseball journey when Roger Clemens invites the talented but mired in mediocrity right-hander to workout session at the Astrodome in Houston. And after a day of workouts and drills, Roger, the consummate worker, sets the pitcher down in the clubhouse and reads him the riot act. As Roger, who had been following Schill since his stint at Winter Haven in the Red Sox farm in 1987, he saw a lot of the same physical qualities that he possessed in Curt. But mentality, his approach to his craft, his work ethic, Rocket was less than impressed, and he let the youngster have it. And to paraphrase, he asked Curt, "What the hell are you doing? You're blowing it, man. You got the physical traits to make you an immortal, but you're flighty. I watch you, and you look overwhelmed at times by the moment and the stage, and your work ethic is atrocious. You shouldn't be overwhelmed. You should be overwhelming these pathetic hitters." And it sits down with the Rocket and has a profound impact on the hurler's production trajectory after that moment. Schilling would find his game and his voice with the Phillies under the watchful eye of Jim Fregosi, who was manning the helm of the franchise. Schilling goes on to pitch 9 seasons in Philly, and he wins 101 games. His first year in 1992 may have been his best in Philly, finishing up with a 2.35 ERA, a league-leading .99 WHIP, and 26 starts, 16 relief appearances, and he's 14-11 with 10 shutouts. That first year in Philadelphia is also the year Curt marries Shauna Michelle Brewer, a blue-collar Baltimore girl with a degree from Towson State. Go Tigers! Whom he met while she was working part-time at a local Foot Locker shoe store. The 1993 Phillies, they find themselves in the Fall Classic at the end of the season versus the Toronto Blue Jays. Schilling and Tommy Green are stalwarts in the Phillies rotation, both with 16 wins apiece. And Schilling is named the NLCS MVP versus the Braves And against the Jays, he stumbles in Game 1 of the World Series, earns the L after surrendering 7 runs, 6 of them earned, one of the only 2 losses he would suffer in his postseason career. And his next start, Game 5, in an elimination game, Schilling tosses a 5-hit, 2-0 shutout gem, staving off the Jays to a game switch when Joe Carter touches them all with the biggest home run of his career with a walk-off blast on closer Mitch Williams. And the most memorable thing about the 1993 World Series is that the feisty Phillies, who looked more like a biker gang on a softball team with their long mullets flowing under the pea caps, pushed the Braves, who were well-balanced juggernaut of a team, to the break in 6. And of course, there's Joe Carter accomplishing the dream of all seamheads with a championship-winning walk-up blast. But it's also remembered for the first controversy in Schilling's career, with Mitch Williams struggling out in the last frame of that series. The television camera caught Schilling in the dugout with a towel over his head, horrified by his teammates' effort on the mound, and an obvious, painful angst waiting for the inevitable collapse. And to this day, there are still hard feelings between Schill and the Wild Thing, as Mitch Williams has been known to take to X every year to thank the baseball writers of America for not voting Curt into the Hall of Fame that year. The Phillies wouldn't sniff 500 baseball again until 2001, but by that time, Schilling is gone. He has 2 rough years in 1994 and 1995. He has a subpar spring training in 94, which snowballs to an 0-7 start to the regular season with a big fat ERA of 5.40. He misses 2 months of the season because of surgery to remove bone spurs from his right elbow, and mercifully, the season is cut short by the players' strike, and he finishes with a 2-8 record. In 1995, he suffers a torn labrum, and on July 18th, he undergoes season-ending surgery. He returns to the bump on May 14, 1996, with 7 innings of shutout ball versus the San Francisco Giants, and he looks to be back on track. He starts 26 games that year, and he leads the NL with 8 complete games. His win-loss record of 9-10 is really more reflective of the team's ineptness, as his 3.19 ERA was 7th best in the league. In 1997, Curt makes his first All-Star pitching roster. He pitches 2 innings at Jacobs Field, strikes out 3 with no walks or a run, and a 3-1 loss to the American League. By the year's end, he sports a 17-11 record with a 2.97 ERA, and his 319 strikeouts is tops in the National League. He makes the NL All-Star team in 1998 and 99. He doesn't appear in the 98 Midsummer Classic, but he's named the starting pitcher in the 1999 game at Fenway Park, and he earns the L after giving up 2 runs in 2 innings. He strikes out an even 300 batters in 1998. He leads all of Major League Baseball with 15 complete games in 1998 and 99. And he also wins 15 games. From July 23rd, 1999, when he exits the game due to a right bicep and shoulder injury, and to September 3rd, he appears in only 1 game, and he gives up 8 runs. In 2000, there is a change of scenery on the horizon for the power arm of Schilling. He begins the year in the city of brotherly love and has a pedestrian record of 6-6 with a 3.91 ERA with the trade deadline approaching. on July 23rd, the Arizona Diamondbacks, they trade 4 players, Omar Dahl, Nelson Figueroa, Vicente Padillas, and Travis Lee, to obtain Schilling services. Schilling more or less continued with the same production out in the desert that he had built. He goes 5-6 with 3.60 ERA in next year to finish out that first year. And I'll tell you what, freaks, I think this is where we're going to bookmark this mother. Step out, pay some bills, take part in the hydration ritual, hook up Gunner with treats for great first segment owed. I'm pulling my Scarlet Demon Polari into the pits to trade out the intermediates for a fresh new batch of Saul Pirelli tires, and I'll be ready to make that final push for the checkered flag. When we return, we'll continue this fascinating autopsy and the life and career of Curt Schilling, Acts 2 and 3, wrap it up around the horn like 5, 4, 3. I'm going to get my mind right, rip a couple tunes. I'll return in a few minutes after these words from our sponsors. Good brothers and sisters, BRB, meet me on the dark side of the moon.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Jackie Robinson punching home run into the left field stand.
Here comes Roger Maris.
There's a new home run champion of all time.
I don't believe what I just saw. Ricky Jr. has reached the unreachable star.
This crowd on its feet and in unison.
This one has a chance. Home run. Mike Piazza. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
Welcome to the first night of MLB Network.
Number 600 for Jim Thome. That ball is gone.
106. That would be a new record.
It is gone. Oh, what a catch by Mike Trout. The Cubs have finally won it all.
The Atlanta Braves are world champions.
Schilling. He has worked 7 innings in each game against the Yankees, games 1 and 4.
Got it.
1 out. We've talked about Roger Clemens' influence on Curt Schilling early in Curt's career. Three-two pitch. 2 out. The 2-2 pitch. 2 out. 1 away. Strikeout number 7 for Curt Schilling. Their franchise history, Schilling strikes out Brocious 2 away. In the 9th against Sasaki, as Brocious strikes out.
Howdy, y'all. This is Big Tex Gage Gainer, executive producer of Backwards K Pod. In Texas, we do everything big. After football and golf, there's probably nothing I love more than going fishing and enjoying a good crawfish boil. The only thing I dislike about going fishing is the lingering odor it can leave on your hands afterwards. Well, the Fish and Hand Cleaner is an all-natural liquid soap perfect for overpowering fish and bait odors from your hands. I can't tell you how many times I've eaten steamed crabs, lobster, shrimp, crawfish, and then washed my hands with regular soap, only to touch my eyes half hour later, and my face begins to melt off due to the damn Cajun no bay spices. Well, we also have a hand cleaner, specifically formulated to use after eating shellfish and other seafoods. Perfect for cleaning spicy, smelly hands after a Texas-sized seafood feast. In these cases, don't settle for anything less than our crawfish hand cleaner, our crab hand cleaner, or the fish and hand cleaner. an ingenious trifecta of natural hand soaps developed and owned by a disabled Navy veteran. He and Jake have a true connection, as they were boot camp shipmates all the way back in 1989. So he is family, folks, and one thing we do here at the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network is look out for family. So you can support two grassroots companies by two former shipmate Navy vets. Crushing big bowls of shellfish or fishing on the banks of your favorite river while you listen to BKP. Sounds like a great day. You know, in fact, hey Ma, where are my poles? I'm gone fishing. There is also a buffalo wing hand cleaner in development as we speak. To check all of the incredible products of this great company, you can go to www.crawfishhandcleaner.com or call the home offices at 713-588-0290. That's 713-588-0290 to support the grassroots company that supports your grassroots podcast show. That's crawfishhandcleaner.com or 713-588-0290 to prepare for your summertime shellfish feast or that fishing trip you're planning. crawfishhandcleaner.com.
Schilling, the ruptured sheath around the peroneal tendon, his right ankle. A lot of talk about him wearing high tops, that they found the right type shoes for Schilling to pitch with, and the story is he's not pitching with them, as Al showed us out in the bullpen. And the question is that the marcaine itself that they're shooting into that ankle, or blood from the shots? But like a scene from The Natural, Schilling climbs the mound and prepares to take on this Yankee lineup. Reaching forward, a pop-up. And Millar hauls it in, a perfect first inning. He'll do one better. Into right field. Back at the wall. Is the wing going to hold it up? At the wall to end the inning. A 2-2 now. Sierra strikes out, and that's the first strikeout of the night for Curt Schilling. Pops up. Shallow center field, and now Damon will go get it. It's baseball. Matsui pops it up. Millar will have to drift with it. Now in foul territory for out number one. Right side, Millar knocks it down. It's Schilling having to get over and cover with that bad ankle. 2 outs. To the right side. Schilling again has to at least go into the area, and Millar gets him off the hook. Another 2-2. Sierra strikes out. Schilling is at 94 miles per hour on that fastball. Ball 1 strike. Cairo grounds to the left side. Cabrera called into action, and a perfect 5th inning for Curt Schilling. Doing his thing. 6th inning now. Game 6 to do it. He jammed Sheffield. Ramirez went back, comes on, and Curt Schilling rolls through 6 innings. A feeble swing by Sierra. He strikes out for the 3rd time, and Game 6 goes to the 8th.
To the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jake Robinson, and this is Backwards K-Pod, where we collect ball players and their stories. And before I did the Tim Hardaway UTEP 2-step crossover for spots, we covered Act 1 in the Curt Schilling biopic. And as a youngster, starting out his major league journey, he was a talented underachiever who, in retrospect, was involved in 3 of the most lopsided trades in baseball history, making stops in Boston, the team that drafted him, the Orioles and the Astros. But those teams, they had no idea what they had. And finally, Curt lands in the city of brotherly love to play for the Phillies, where he finds his game after a profound sit-down with right-handed pitching legend Roger Clemens. And he would pitch for the Phils for 9 seasons, leading them to the 1993 World Series, where they would fall to Toronto Blue Jays in 6 games after Jays outfielder Joe Carter hits the mother of all series clinching home runs off of Wild Thing, Rich Williams, the Phillies closer. In his 9 seasons at Philly, he goes 101 and 78.597 winning percentage, a 3.35 ERA, and 1,695 and a third innings pitched, 6,749 batters faced. Curt establishes himself as a strikeout pitcher with impeccable command, with 1,554 strikeouts and a 1.12 whip. The Phillies would go through a stretch of losing seasons after the 1993 World Series, and on July 23rd, 2000, Philly sends him to Arizona for Omar Dahl and Nelson Figueroa, Vicente Padilla, and Travis Lee in a trade. In 2001, the Snakes got everything they had been hoping for when they traded for Curt, and then some. He has a dominant season, going 22-6 with a 2.93 ERA, leading the National League in wins and coming in second for ERA after teammate Randy Johnson. In the post, he throws a 3-hit shutout in Game 1 of the NLDS against the Cards. He also won the clinching Game 5 of that series with a sterling 2-1 complete game. In the League Championship Series versus the Braves, he pitches another complete game. He only allows 1 run in the win. This put Curt in position to pitch Game 1 of the World Series against the New York Yankees. And again, he shines, shutting down the Bombers on 3 hits, 1 run, en route to the victory, improving his 2001 postseason record to 4-0 with a .79 ERA. He starts 2 more games in the series. Game 4 with another 7-inning pitch, 3-hit game, 1-run performance that the Yankees would win in the 10th. And in the deciding Game 7 would saw the Snakes come from behind with the walk-off versus Hall of Fame closer Mariano Rivera for the Arizona World Championship. His final record in the 2001 post is 4-0 with a Gibson-esque 1.12 ERA, and he's named co-MVP of the series, along with the big unit, Randy Johnson. Schilling had been 21-6 in the regular season, 5-1 in the post with a 1.52 ERA, 3-0 in the World Series, winning and clinching Game 7 when he comes out of the Snakes bully, throwing the final innings and a third in hitless relief. 2002 plays out similar for Curt when he goes 23-7 with a 3.23 ERA, his .98 whip. It leads the league and was the best whip of his career. For the second year in a row, he comes second in Cy voting after his teammate Randy Johnson. He gets a starting nod for the 2002 All-Star game. He gives him 2 hits, no runs in the game's first 2 innings. He's dominant in 2002 post, pitching 7 innings, allowing a run in Game 2 of the division series, but the Cards would sweep the defending champs out of the series. Schilling has an appendectomy surgery in 2003 2003, and on May 30th, he was struck twice on the right hand by Padres batters, breaking his hand. He battles through the season, finishes with an 8.9 record and a 2.95 ERA. After the 2003 season that saw the Red Sox punked again by their rival Yankees in the ALCS, Boston is ready to make some dramatic moves to finally punch the Rebels back. The team was in the first couple of years under new ownership, as well as a new GM, Theo Epstein. Their offseason, which includes trading for Schilling to pair with ace Pedro Martinez, and they're on hunt for a dominant back end of the bully closer. Epstein makes a trip to Arizona to the Schilling household to woo the right-handed pitcher. He comes prepared with metrics and data to make his pitch, and Curt is impressed with the detail-oriented young Theo. Gracious host, the Schillings are so impressed with the Red Sox presentation, they invite Theo and assistant GM Judd Hoyer to share Thanksgiving dinner at their house. And Schilling, acting as his own agent at this time, talks turkey over the turkey dinner with the Red Sox emissaries, and he tells Hoyer and Theo he's on board with the move and they can pull a deal off with the Snakes. On November 28th, the Sox and D-backs consummate a deal for Schilling, with Boston sending Casey Fossum, Jorge De La Rosa, and Brandon Lyon, minor league prospect Mike Goss, to the desert for Curt's services, and yet another lopsided deal. And in January, Boston gets its closer, Keith Polk. His career has now come full circle, as Schill is now back with the club and had first drafted him all these years back. And once he settles into his new fan base, he endears himself to the New England faithful by proclaiming, "I'm a Red Sox now. I guess I hate the Yankees." And the hatred was reciprocated by the Bronx fan base, who were still smarting from the World Series loss of 2001 at the hands of Curt and the Diamondbacks. He films a Ford car commercial saying that he comes to Boston to win a chip, and his prophecy is fulfilled with some unwanted but very real October drama come playoff time. He finds himself reunited with his former manager, Terry Francona, who had managed Curt in Philadelphia from 1997 to 2000, and was hired to Skipper's Sox shortly after trading for Curt. He leads the American League in wins with 21 and a 3.26 ERA, finishing second in Cy Young voting again, this time behind twin southpaw Johan Santana. The Sox and Yankees are on another postseason collision course, but first, the Red Sox need to dispatch the California Angels into the ALDS. Schilling picks up the win in Game 1 versus the Halos, but it comes at a cost. In the 7th inning, Curt comes up lame after coming first base to make a play, tearing a tendon in his right ankle. The Red Sox would sweep the Cherubs, so Curt didn't have to make another start in that series. In Game 1 of the much-anticipated rematch versus the Yankees in the ALCS, Curt gets a nod, but it's obvious he's laboring with the ankle, and the righty gives up 6 runs in 3 innings pitched, and it looks like his season is done, and the Bombers would rewrite a baseball strip that had seen the Yankees' dominance over their rivals since trading Babe Ruth. The Yankees took the first 3 games of the series. They hold a 3-0 advantage, and to make matters worse, the Bombers bludgeoned the Red Sox in Game 3, 19-8 at Fenway Park. And no team had ever come back from 3 games in a deficit and won a playoff series. And the dynastic Yankees appear on the verge of burying Sox Nation one more time. But the 2004 Red Sox, they were a resilient group of players, and they began to fight their way out of the hole that they had dug for themselves. Dodgers' current manager, Dave Roberts, steals a stolen base heard round the world, and the Red Sox rally to tie the game in the bottom of the ninth in Game 4. David Ortiz walks it up in the bottom of 12 to keep the Sox hopes alive. The white-hot Ortiz, he walks off another late inning victory with a clutch single in the bottom of the 14th of Game 6. The team travels to the Bronx. That was it for Game 5. The team travels to the Bronx for Game 6. And Curt Schilling has an emergency medical procedure done by Dr. Bill Morgan on his damaged ankle to temporarily stitch his tendons back in place. The eyes of the baseball universe transfixed on the action as there is seepage of blood staining Schill's white sanitary socks while he courageously battles on the bump. The Sox would win 4-2, a victory built on Curt's 7 innings of 1-run, 4-hit performance, capped off by a 3-run homer by second baseman Mark Bellhorn. The Red Sox would blow out the Yankees in Game 7, and the highly improbable comeback had been complete. The Sox advanced to the World Series to face the Cards, and the winning streak expands from 4 games to 8 games as the Sox are now, they're just an unstoppable force, sweeping St. Louis and putting an end to the curse of the Bambino. Schilling would pitch Game 2 of the series at Fenway Park, picking up the win, allowing an unearned run on 4 hits and 6 innings again with bloody socks as Dr. Morgan again sutures the tendons in the pitcher's ankle, a procedure he would later say it would have been possible to replicate a third time. And that Game 2 victory, it made Curt Schilling the only pitcher to win 3 World Series games for 3 different teams. The Phillies in 1993, the Snakes in 2001, and the 2004 Red Sox. After all-season century, Schilling comes back again in 2005, but it struggles, pitching poorly in 3 April starts, and other injuries that year kept him on the shelf till his return on the field on July 14th. And upon his return, he is used mostly out of the bully and primarily as a closer until August 25th when he resumes his starting role. His final record for the year is 8-8 with 9 saves, a 5.69 ERA. The Sox would win a wild card berth, but they swept the eventual champion White Sox in the Division Series, which Schilling sees no action. In 2006, Curt makes 31 starts, and he posts a 15-7 record with 3.97 ERA. His highlight for the year comes on May 30th in a game for St. Louis when he strikes out Nick Swisher for punch-out number 3,000 in his career. Schilling's final year in the majors is 2007, and Schilling goes ham in his last season. In that year's post, he wins Game 3 in Anaheim versus the Angels with a shutout ball in 7 innings. Game 6 in the ALCS versus the Indians, he stymies Cleveland for 7 innings, 2 runs to pick up the W after a Game 2 start, in which he earns a no decision. And in the World Series against the Colorado Rockies, he wins on the strength of his 5 1/3 1-run effort, as Boston once again wins the chip. Now, he had signed to come back in 2008, but his body failed him, and he was physically unable to perform. So with his career now in the books, his last work from a Major League mound would be his win in Game 2 of the 2007 World Series. And Curt has a natural extroverted personality. He's a type A, brash, opinionated fellow, which has benefited him and also been a detriment. Kevin Millar and his Red Sox teammates, they used to affectionately teasingly call him Red Light due to his penchant for finding an open mic and camera when the red light goes on. And he's never been one to shy from interaction with the public and media to pontificate his thoughts and views on a wide range of topics. He had been active posting blogs since at least the start of his tenure with the Red Sox. He's also an inveterate gamer who launched his own company in 2006 called 28 Studios and was determined to launch a role-playing video game called Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning, which eventually was launched in February of 2012. And 38 Studios had relocated to Rhode Island thanks to the state's Economic Development Corporation, which had lured Schilling's company from Massachusetts with a $75 million loan. The game is it's pretty much well received by the consumers at first, and it sold well over 300,000 units in the first month. But it had an expensive price tag attached to develop the game, and the total from the sales was insufficient to cover the costs, as well as the ongoing development of new multiplayer games under the working title of Project Copernicus. The studio was then unable to meet a scheduled repayment or meet payroll. And the company ultimately goes bankrupt amid mutual recriminations, including the studio's charge that the state had failed to come through on promises to fund the completion of the second game, which may have proved to be sufficiently successful when all is said and done. The state of Rhode Island, they sued Schilling, and officials of their own state's own Economic Development Corporation alleging fraud and other acts that mislead the state into granting Schilling's company the $75 million loan in the first place that the state's tax-paying citizens were now on the hook for. And the loan and its consequences have become a subject of long-running battles in the state's political circles. Some have even suggested that it's soured the state legislators from providing financial assistance to the longtime mainstay Pawtucket Red Sox team, AAA team, who would eventually move their operations to Worcester, Massachusetts. And Schilling had pledged personal guarantees that come back to bite him in the ass as the company is forced into bankruptcy, which cost Schilling really most of the security nest egg he had amassed during his playing career. And working on the game, dealing with all the drama and financial concerns, it took a toll on Curt, and he suffered a serious heart attack in November 2011. The Schilling family has always been entrenched in charitable causes. He's always been a stalwart in the fight against ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, starting in 1992 and then 1993. And he and his wife, Shonda, launched Curt's Pitch for ALS, in which he contributed money for every strikeout he threw, with the money to be used to help provide a better quality of life for victims of the disease. Within 15 years of establishing the charity, the Schillings had raised a staggering $10 million. And after his wife was diagnosed with malignant melanoma in 2000, she needed 5 surgeries to rid herself of the cancer. Part of the Schilling's response to combating disease and raise awareness was the funding of the Shade Foundation in 2002, which had been described as the only national children's foundation devoted to skin cancer, education, and prevention. In February of 2014, Curt himself is diagnosed with cancer of the mouth, which he blames 30 years of smokeless tobacco habit. He undergoes various rounds of chemo and radiation. He loses about 70 pounds. He had 2 bouts with pneumonia, a painful staph infection, and he kept his illnesses private. But on June 25th, 2014, he takes to Twitter and announces that his cancer is in remission. Thank God for that. He and Shonda have 4 children, Garrick, Gabby, Grant, and Garrison. And he really derives joy in life by being an attentive father and husband. And he enjoys paying them back for the sacrifices that they made due to his playing career. The children also have had their share of challenges on their life journeys. Garrick had an eating disorder at his preteen years. Gabby has had problems with her hearing, and Grant has Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism. And Schilling has received recognition for his charitable efforts, such as the Hutch Award in 2001, the Roberto Clemente Award in 2002, and the 2004 Good Guy Award from the Sporting News. And in 1996, USA Today's Weekend magazine named him baseball's most caring athlete. In 2010, he's honored with the inclusion into the Arizona Sports Hall of Fame, and in 2012, he's inducted into the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. And for any candidate to be inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, they need at a bare minimum 75% of the votes from the Baseball Writers Association of America, and Schilling received 39.2% in January of 2015. Schilling and his proponents will suggest that his outspoken support of Republicans have cost him the majority of the available votes, which may or may not be true. I mean, Yankees former closer Mariano Rivera is an outspoken fan of the MAGA movement, and he was a unanimous inductee to the Hall. In 2010, ESPN hired Schilling as an in-studio analyst for Baseball Tonight, and in December of 2013, he's given a multi-year extension. In August of 2015, Schilling is yanked from the ESPN telecast of the Little League World Series after tweeting on Twitter where he compares Muslim extremists to Nazis. After the controversial tweet, Schilling is contrite, saying bad choices have bad consequences, and this was a bad decision on my part in every way. But even after downplaying that, more controversial, political, and inflammatory tweets appear, and ESPN pulls the plug on Curt's employment and removes him from telecast for the remainder of the season. After losing the gig, Curt has seemingly doubled down on his conservative politics. In 2021, Curt just falls short of induction with 71% of the vote after having been named by 285 voters of 401 possible. Afterwards, Curt asked to be removed from the ballot in 2022, but he's not, and his percentage drops to 58.6%. And my last 4 topics here at Backwards Skate Pod has dealt with 4 iconic and legendary ball players who have amassed Hall of Fame worthy stats and unforgettable baseball moments, but Curt is in a different class than the other 3, and that should be recognized. Number 1, he never committed the cardinal sin of betting on baseball. He has never been tied to PED use, and by all accounts, he played the game clean, an honorable warrior. And America hasn't been this politically divided since the Civil War. And Curt has become a victim of a cancer culture phenomenon that has gripped the polarizing social aspects of American culture. He's a brash loudmouth who sometimes sticks his foot in his mouth, like when he outed former teammate Tim Wakefield with his battle with cancer on his podcast before his death in 2023. But he played the game the right way, and his omission from the Hall, honestly, is egregious. The Hall of Fame is a museum that's supposed to tell the story of baseball. Well, how the hell can you tell the full story of baseball without representation by a Rose, a Bonds, a Clemens, or Schilling? Maybe now, with the popular vote and an electoral college win for Donald J. Trump back in November 2024, maybe that signals a new conscience across the landscape of the country, and Curt Schilling can take his rightful place in the Pantheon Baseball Immortals. And folks, I think that's what I'm calling it. Another body dropped in our collection of ball players and their stories. I hope you enjoyed this week's presentation on Curt Schilling, and I'll be up bright and early tomorrow morning, hitting that cage, working on my craft, and I promise, nerds, I'll try to be better next week. While Gunnar has us feverishly eating up some trash, trying to get you Seamans back to your loved ones awaiting your return to Terrapin Station, let's take one last look at those, so lovely, Hall of Fame worthy stats Curt left behind on his incredible MLB resume. Curtis Montague Schilling, a.k.a. Schill, born November 14th, 1966, in Anchorage, Alaska, attended Shadow Mountain High School in Phoenix, Arizona, and Yavapai College in Prescott, Arizona. Drafted by the Boston Red Sox in the second round of the 1986 MLB January draft. On September 7th, 1988, the 21-year-old Schilling becomes the 15,454th player in the history of the planet Earth to join the MLB fraternity when he makes his big league debut for the Baltimore Orioles versus the Red Sox, going 7 innings, scattering 6 hits with 2 strikeouts and 5 walks, and a no decision. 20-year MLB career with the Orioles, Astros, Phillies, Diamondbacks, and Red Sox. 79.5 WAR, which is tied with Pete Rose for its 65th best in a game's history. 569 games played, 436 of those games were as a starting pitcher. A win-loss record of 216 and 146 for a .597 winning percentage. 3,261 innings pitched, 13,284 batters faced, 3,116 strikeouts, the 17th most in baseball history. 3.46 ERA, 3.23 FIP, 1.14 WHIP, and a 1.27 ERA plus. 6-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, 4-time top 4 vote getter for the Cy Young Award, 1983 NLCS MVP, 2001 World Series MVP, 4-time Player of the Month, 3-time Player of the Week, 2001 Roberto Clemente Award winner. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, seamen of all ages, this has been a story of Curt Schilling. And I want to thank all the OGs who have loyally stood by my side since day one of my broadcast endeavors, as well as the newbies who may have been surfing the web, decided to barrel up in this wave and ride it ashore with me. I hope you spread the word and come back. The show email address is backwardskpod@gmail.com. Feel free to drop me a line. I love interacting with the fans. You can find me on TikTok and YouTube under the Backwards K-Pod banner. And I'm on X at back_K_podcast. Or you can always find me chilling with my crew at the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network private Facebook group page. With Gunner bending Spaceball space and time to get you back to Turbine Station, I can see the Curt Schilling story getting smaller and smaller in the rearview mirror. So I turn my steely-eyed glaze to our never-say-die baseball hydra. I reach under my kimono, take hold of my katana blade, and I chop the head off that beast, only to see two more baseball topics appear in its place. Next week, we're going to do a deep dive into the greatest leadoff hitter in baseball history, the enigmatic first-person talking, the great Ricky Henderson. I would never charge you nerds for the content presented here on the BKP platform. Information is power, and I want nothing more than empowered seamen in my orbit. I'm just going to keep coming through every week with that free baseball smoke.
You don't want that smoke.
And I'm going to keep it consistent like Mickey Mantle. So, Biddy, but see, I came, I saw, I kicked this show's ass. I think I accomplished everything I wanted this week. Thank you all for coming out. God bless and win the day. And like my boy Shane Hillenbrand told me in our one-on-one sparring session in the dojo a few years back, you go to hell, Andy Pettit. Me and my boy Charlie Guns, we throwed our Gunner Hendersons to the sky, y'all. That's our number 2s, as in peace. Run, Ricky, run! Ricky Henderson next week, nerds. Sounds fun. Can't wait. See ya.